long before Kitty Hawk and the Wright brothers. Before Leonardo da Vinci first set his imaginings to paper. When human beings invented their dream of flying. The sight of the peregrine falcon, soaring majestically, diving at tremendous speeds, must have inspired an awe and reverence for nature and all her creations in those who went before us. In the ancient civilization of Egypt, the people worshipped a sun god, Horus. It is a name which means lofty. From very early times, this god was believed to be a falcon. For thousands of years before the advance of technology and science, the activities of human beings and civilization had no lasting negative effect upon the natural environment, and the balance of nature was not threatened. But now, in the 20th century, the cost of human progress has grown at an alarming rate. The waste products of our civilization have taken form as pollutants of every description. Environmentalists and other men and women of science for several centuries have attempted to sound a warning that nature does not have an infinite capacity for self-renewal. Much of the wildlife which once flourished upon the earth has perished during our short modern history and become lost to us. But some on the brink of extinction are being rescued through the dedicated efforts of naturalists and scientists with the help of a concerned populace and its governmental agencies. During the last 2 decades, one of nature's most spectacular wild creatures, the peregrine falcon, has acted as a kind of ecological barometer and symbol of a new wave of concern for the environment. In 1963-64, ominous forecasts of their possible extinction from the effects of pesticides were made. But the story is changing now. Here, at the legislative heart of our Ontario government, high atop a modern structure, a comeback story is being played out. Spring 1981. The Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources, in cooperation with the federal government and Canadian Wildlife Service, joins a cross-Canada effort, an experimental program aimed at improving the chance of a comeback for an endangered creature, the peregrine falcon. In this unlikely urban setting, high up on the Whitney Block Tower at Queen's Park, an artificial nest called a hack box and television monitoring devices are installed. A team of biologists and scientific personnel observe and record the health and activity of young peregrine falcons. Reared in captivity at Camp Wainwright, Alberta, the 4-week-old falcons are flown by jet cargo plane to Toronto and various other release sites in provincial and national park wilderness areas and other major Canadian cities. It is an act of faith, since the mortality rate in the first year of life for peregrine falcons is about 80%. This marks the last close-up contact with human beings for the young falcons. They will remain in the hack box for 2 weeks. Their food, which will be quail or pheasant, is delivered through tubes to the interior of the nesting site. Great care must be taken that no association with human beings and food is made. An observation blind is erected in order that the birds may be observed at closer range without being disturbed. The 1981 Peregrine release project at the Whitney block will later prove encouraging when one of the 4 peregrines, a male identified as 1P9, returns in mid-May of 1982. He is affectionately named Whitney, after the Whitney block tower from which he was released. He will be a witness and participant in this second attempt to nurture and study 2 releases in the summer of '82. During the spring and summer, Whitney will spend considerable time perching on a tower and nearby buildings within viewing distance of the hack box. In one of the releases, Whitney is drawn into the activity around the hack box and lends his voice to the vocalizing. The critical stage comes as the birds are released. The simulated natural fledgling time when the young birds would normally leave the nest. The young peregrines will test their wings for as long as 9 hours. In the July experiment, the first of the '82 series, 2 males are set free. One is killed by a car on a nearby road. The surviving male is observed in the area for several days after, then disappears. In August, 4 females are released. By the first week of September, 3 have disappeared. The last positive peregrine sighting of a female takes place on September 30th, 1982. In this same season, Whitney, the subadult falcon, has shown evidence of hunting successfully. His future will now depend on his hunting success and the dangers of migration. If he survives his first few years, he will then be mature enough to mate. Considering the odds, it has been estimated that for 100 or so breeding pairs to be re-established, more than 2,000 peregrines must be released. Through the efforts of the Ministry of Natural Resources and various levels of the Canadian government, federal and provincial, the Canadian Wildlife Services facility at Camp Wainwright in Alberta, and other projects across North America, the ongoing efforts of those who would seek to bolster the once dwindling population of the peregrine falcon are bearing fruit. We have created an artificial environment and mode of living which we call civilization. It exists within the broader confines of nature. As human beings, we have become the dominant species of this planet. We compete for food and space with the creatures of the earth, the sea, and the sky. It is within our power to preserve the balance of nature for those who follow when we are gone. We must. For like the peregrine falcon, we are also one of nature's spectacular creations.